Hello, everyone. Let me please introduce Mark Wales, Head of Future Programs of Ariane Group, and Jacques Breton, Senior Vice President of Ariane and Sales Business Development at Ariane Espace. We'll talk about the shaping the future with Ariane 6. Please welcome them.
Je vais là-bas parce que c'est là-bas qu'il y a le bouton. Okay, so let's get in. Thanks for being there, and I will start from the very beginning, saying that I will show to you some things with photographs. We are doing hardware, we are developing the things, and we will be ready to go. And but it's still possible to go to see us at our booth and to look on the internet. We are also on the web, even if we are preparing to be on the pad. So Ariane Group is a joint venture which has been decided by both Airbus Defence and Space and Safran in order to join together all the assets they still have, because we are still the subsidiary of those two mothers, all the activities, the assets they have in launchers. So it means that in addition to launchers, for natural synergies, we have also onboarded with us equipments, and in particular engines, space engines, which means that we address, of course, not only the launchers, but also we are a supplier for satellites and other type of equipment in automotive and aeronautics. So the overall of the Ariane Group, and I think that the group is important. We have 11 subsidiaries, which are fully subsidiaries and affiliates, which are under our control, but some which are shared with good partners. This is relying the overall activities on a long-standing industrial partnership, so it means that apart from the group by itself, we have very strong relationships built around the Ariane story with some other main European industrialists. And globally, today, it means that a bit more than 8,000 people are working together in an integrated way with France and Germany for about 3 billion euros incomes per year in activities which comes from design up to integration of the launchers, the full service, with both liquid, solid and electric propulsion. So, as I said, not only for the launchers but also for satellites, and going from the material, the raw material, up to the end, taking into account also some capabilities to develop for customers some space structure components and sub-assemblies. So it means that apart from Ariane Espace, we're selling our launchers, and Jacques, you will explain how it works. We have also, this is the main business, of course, providing access to space. So we have also a set of worldwide customers for which we are, in fact, playing a role of, let's say, part providers. So we are second tier. So it means for the business something which is very important. It means that large part of our products, large sub-assembly of our products are also on the open market. So it's a way for us to be sure that we are competitive. Not only we are building our own launcher from the very beginning, from the raw material up to the end of the service, thanks to our subsidiaries, but also we are in competition for the subsets. This gives a sound reality that allows us to know where we are and to keep the head having our global roadmap mixed between managing the technologies and looking in the future in terms to provide the best value for the customer. So Ariane 6, I will not extend too much about things that I think are well known by everybody, so I will go after that, you will see on some more details, but just to recall that the launcher has two different configurations in order to be able to address the full market of the big satellites, let's say, from above 1 ton up to a capability overall of more than 10 tons, 11 tons. It depends if it's a single payload or dual payloads. And the first flight is foreseen on the 16th of July of 2020. I don't know yet the hour, but we're going to fix it, I think, about 11 or 12. Huh? And this is a story which is European as a beginning for Europe. So it means that we have 12 countries which are involved in the development of this program. Under the management, the control of the development is made by European space agencies, and we are prime. But this is really a European matter. So probably it's a bit teeny. You will not see all the things, but it's not what I wanted to show to you. We have, when we have designed Ariane 6, we had really an end-to-end approach, and we wanted to take into account all the technology we could have ready enough for being on the market in 2020, onboarded, with the vision of providing the more added value we can to the end customer, which means much more flexibility, keeping the same level of reliability that we have demonstrated on Ariane 5, but also the capability to be quicker in terms of response, to provide some services which are not today provided by the same version of the launcher, which means that we have the reinjectable upper stage that allow us to go to all the orbits. And we have really simplified the things that we were managing. So, for example, the main stage, the drawings you see designed cost to exploitation, designed to exploitation cost. We have used our experience, our lesson learned during decades of operation of Ariane 5 in order to simplify the things. And our engineers have been said, you will gain the objective when there is nothing less to remove in the system. So providing always the same functions, but with a more simple architecture, keeping the technologies we had under control. I will not go too much in the detail of the architecture of the launcher, but what is important is that we have made this approach of full optimization, taking into account of course, the technical part of the things, but also the manpower, the people, the planning, the schedule, the way we are interacting all together. You guess that it is not a simple story to be able to have those 12 countries or all industrialists working together in order to deliver on time. It is something that I think we can say that in Europe we are rather good to do that. But we still had to improve because we have identified that there were some room for improvement. So just giving two numbers that will let understand the people about this kind of business. Today on Ariane 5, we have 140 contracts with subcontractors, and for Ariane 6, we dropped down to 40. So it gives you an idea of the optimization that we have found in terms of providing the best. We have changed also the rules in order to let more design authority to some grid partners in which we had built up the confidence since the past decades. So in a streamlined integration with a flow in this approach with extended enterprise, it means that our main partners are really on board, and we synchronize our flow in pulse lines, just like it's done for aeronautics. So of course we are not reaching the same production rates that in aeronautics, but the spirit, the way to manufacture and to use also all the new technologies, the digital capabilities, the factories 4.0 and so on, as you know very well, no, we are not talking of it, we are putting it in place. So our way to produce is really taking into account all those new technologies, not only on board, but also in our factories and also on ground for the operation before the launch. And this standardization allows us to be much more flexible, so we are really working to put more brain in the machine, if I can say, giving some flexibility thanks to software, preliminary mission analysis, for the simplification, for the comfort of the customer. It means the customer can arrive much later than before, and we can onboard him. We are ready to make some mission analysis in a much shorter term that which can be done today for this kind of missions. So, just one last slide to show that, once again, this is PowerPoint, but you see pictures with photographies, with things which are really the reality. So we are already starting to build the qualification models. We will start, we have already, in fact, long lead items for the flight model, which are already in factories. So this is really on track. We are very proud of the things that we are introducing. This is a kind of mixed between a very sound architecture, which comes from the Ariane family, Ariane 5 family, new technologies which has been matured during, for most of them, more than 5, 10, or sometimes even 15 years in order to be sure that they are qualified enough in order to be allowed to onboard on this new launcher. But sometimes it depends of which is the domain, the technical domain. Sometimes we are really at the edge of the technology, and as you can see, there will be in Ariane 5 a lot of parts which are in additive manufacturing. We are using new technologies for avionics and data flow and data management. We are trying to remove as more as possible all the technologies which are somewhere operational, but not such easy to manipulate during the final operations in Guyana for the large campaign, in order to ease the process and hope that with Ariane 6 our customers will arrive just like if they wanted to go in a taxi and say, please, do you have a place? I would like to go up and access to the orbit. And then I think I will leave the floor to Jacques in order to explain how they will do that.
Thank you, Mark. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It's a pleasure and an honor for me to be here. And now that you know everything about the product, let me talk about the service. A few words about a startup company, Arianespace. Well, actually, it was a startup 30 years ago. Nevertheless, the spirit remains. Arianespace was created at a time when satellites were launched by space agencies, and Arianespace has created the concept of commercial launch services, going from users to customers. So we were founded in 1980. We have launched more than 560 satellites, and I must say that here in this region we have launched 75 telecommunication satellites in the Asia-Pacific region for 17 operators. And in Australia we have been working with Synctelopters for more than 20 years, having launched 6 satellites, and we launched as well the Skymaster 1 and 2 satellite for NBN in October 2015 and October 16. Our turnover is indicated here, 1.4 billion euros in 2016. And as Mark explained, we are now a subsidiary of Ariane Group, who holds 74% of our share, which means that now we are closer to the industry. As you know, Ariane 6, it's, as Mark explained, a very innovative product, and we come back on this point. But also it goes with the reorganization of the space sector in Europe, giving more responsibility to the industry, and also bringing the industry closer to the customer through its acquisition of Arianespace, and bringing Arianespace closer to the industry in order to be able to, let's say, provide to the industry, to Ariane Group, the messages and the needs from our customers. As you see, we are located in France, in Évry, close to Paris. But we have also offices in Washington, in Singapore, and in Tokyo. The other shareholders are part of the European industry, as indicated here. Right now, before, let's say, having access to the Ariane 6 launch vehicle, we are operating a fleet of launchers with Ariane 5, our workhorse, the heavy lift launch vehicle, which is used to launch telecommunication satellites, 2 at a time, but also navigation satellites, the Galileo constellation, scientific mission. We are going to launch next year the Bepi-Colombo mission for European Space Agency, and in 2019 the James Webb Space Telescope for NASA. It's the most reliable commercial launch vehicle on the market. We have a string of 80 successful launches in a row with 15 years without any failure. Through a cooperation with Russia, we are also operating the Soyuz from French Guiana, medium-lift launch vehicle for scientific mission, Earth observation, telecommunication also. We launched two small GTO satellites this year. And the last addition to our family, the Vega, the light launcher, mainly for scientific mission and Earth observation. And here again, a very reliable launch vehicle, since all its launches, 10 up to now, have been successful. As shown here, you see that we have still 57 launches to deliver, which means that we are fully booked up until the end of 2019, early 2020, with even some launches already planned after or contracted after this date, for a backlog of a little more than 5 billion euros, and from a country throughout the world. A typical year, 2017, is shown here. You have in blue the Ariane 5 launches. As shown, you see that we, and as I explained, we launched 2 telecommunication satellites at a time. For the time being, we have performed 4 Ariane 5 launches. We have still 2 to go. That will bring the total at 6. Typically, we launch 6, 7 Ariane 5 per year, depending on the market and on the availability of the satellites. You see that we have launched 2 Soyuz, and this was for the first time we launched a small telecommunication satellite on board of Soyuz. So this demonstrates the flexibility of having a fleet of launch vehicles. And we also launched 2 Vega for Earth observation mission, and we still have 1 Vega to be performed. So the total 6 to 3, the typical ratio for a typical year. As I said, we launch 6 to 7 Ariane 5, and typically 2 to 3 Soyuz or 2 to 3 Vega per year. Next, this is what we are all expecting, and the market is expecting Ariane 6. Mark explained, first flight mid-2020, and then we will transition from Ariane 5 Soyuz to Ariane 6. The 2 versions that Mark explained and shown, the 62 and the 64 version. With the Ariane 64, we will launch, as we do with Ariane 5, telecommunications satellites in a dual mode, but we also have, thanks to the reignition capability of the upper stage, the possibility to launch constellations in a more effective way compared to Ariane 5, and also to launch full electrical satellites in more optimized orbit. With the 62 version, well, it will not be a heavy, as shown here, but a medium launch vehicle that will replace the Soyuz. We may launch as well in single launch, in double launch, of course, lighter satellites, let's say 2-ton class satellite compared to a 5-ton class satellite on Ariane 64. Constellations, MEO, LEO. Right now we are deploying the OneWeb, we will be deploying the OneWeb constellation starting next year with Soyuz. We're also deploying the O3b constellation with Soyuz. Tomorrow, with Ariane 62, we will launch these 2 constellations on board of this vehicle. Of course, we are taking also into consideration the possibility to launch small satellite, what we call auxiliary payload, in a rate share configuration on mainly Ariane 62. Vega will be also upgraded, I would say, bringing its performance to 2.3 tons, so roughly twice the performance of the Vega. And this vehicle, again, will be used for Earth observation, scientific missions, constellation replacement. So you can see here that with this family of launch vehicle, we'll be able to launch any mass to any orbit at any time. We'll be able to address all segments of the market, being institutional or commercial. Up to now, let's say most of the institutional missions require a medium launch vehicle in Europe, and up to now they were mainly deployed by the Soyuz. Tomorrow it will be a European launch vehicle, Ariane 62, that will perform these launches. Mark explained the first launch of Ariane 6 in 2020, so 16th of July. It's true that the hour is not yet defined because the customer is not yet totally, I would not say chosen, but has not yet signed his contract. We are in negotiation for that. We already signed the first contract at the Euroconsult conference in Paris for the launch of Galileo on board of Ariane 6. And I can say that there is a strong interest of the market for this launch vehicle. Commonality. This is also very important. There is a commonality between the Vega C and Ariane 6, as the first stage of the Vega C will be the strap-on booster of Ariane 6. So starting in 2019, we can say that the solid strap-on boosters of Ariane 6 will be flown. So this will allow, let's say, an increased production rate and therefore decreasing the cost of the system. Cost of the system, because it's a cost-driven design. This development, Mark explained which were the key parameters for this development. Cost is one which is perhaps the most important, probably the most important, at least for me in my position. It's clear that the competition is fierce today on the market. Throughout the years, we have been able to maintain our position of leader with a market share of about 50%, and we intend to keep this position. For this, we need a new launch vehicle, a new launch system. The competition is fierce, as I said, and with this new vehicle, which has been designed from the very beginning, as it has been shown previously, from the design in order to reduce cost in production, cost in operation, reducing the time to prepare the launch vehicle. All this without compromising on reliability, as once again, Ariane 5 being the most reliable launch vehicle on the market, we want to maintain this characteristic, which is key to maintain as well our position on the market. Design to market, competitive, design to market, because we have extensively involved our customers in the design of this vehicle. In the design, I mean in what was required by the market for this vehicle. And you see here in particular a picture that was taken just before Euroconsult, when we gather all our customers and spacecraft manufacturer to exchange with them on both what they have asked us previously as a requirement for their missions, how we answer to this request, and also we showed them in reality what Mark rapidly presented to you, that is to say hardware. They had the opportunity to visit the factories, to see the hardware, to see the engines that are being tested and the one that will be tested within soon. So they were able to realize both the reality of the program and also the, I would say, innovative means that were put in place in order to produce this launch vehicle. Versatility, as I already said, we'll be able to address all kinds of missions thanks to this family of launch vehicle, the flexibility brought by a modular Ariane 6 with either 2 or 4 swap-on booster, flexibility brought by the reignitable upper stage. And the last, remind you the new governance of the space sector in Europe, with Arianespace being part of the Ariane group today. So thank you for your attention, and if you have questions, we'll be pleased to answer to them, or try to answer to them. Thank you.
Yeah, I have one question to Mr. Breton. If I understand properly, you indicated that you transition from Ariane 5 to Ariane 6 plus Vega. It means that after 2020 or 2023, Soyuz is not anymore in the game at Kourou?
Yes, let's say the goal of Ariane 6 was, in particular, to be able to serve the institutional market in Europe with a, say, full European vehicle. And for that purpose, Ariane 62 is intended to launch the institutional missions. In Europe, the institutional market is not a large one. That's why we must rely on the commercial market. And I must say as well that, at the contrary of many countries, in Europe, the institutional market is open to competition. I should say it's still open to competition. So it's right that in the same way as Ariane 6 will replace Ariane 5, it will replace Soyuz. The goal today, let's say, for the transition between Ariane 6 and Ariane 5 is a 3-year period, having a ramp-up of Ariane 6 from 2020 to 2023, and in the meantime, a decrease of the launch rate of Ariane 5. It should be the same with, it will be the same with Ariane, with Soyuz. But of course, all this depends as well of the market. I mean that the market is very, very interesting these days, I would say, because there is a lot of uncertainty. We see on the GTO market a kind of a slowdown because there are many new satellite possibility brought, for example, by the constellations. As I said, we are launching the OneWeb and O3b constellation. We are still working with these operators for the next deployment of the constellations. And depending on, again, the need of the market, if there is a huge need for launches for constellation, one might imagine that we could keep Soyuz a little longer. But once again, this is not the nominal plan. This will depend on the market demand. If we see that there is a market for Soyuz together with Ariane 6 and the increase in launch rate that will happen, why not? But otherwise, yes, I confirm that we will ramp down Soyuz, and Ariane 6 will replace Soyuz.
One more question? Can we get one more?
Yeah. I have a question. So you talk about innovation, and there seems to be a business case which is observed by your competitors in terms of reusability of launcher components. Do you foresee to integrate reusability in the future of Ariane 6?
Well, in fact, let's say what interests the market is the price. It's not the way you get to the price, but it's the price. So some competitors have made the choice of the reusability, I would say early in the game, because they are addressing a different market from our market. First, they are in a country, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, where they have a huge institutional market. Therefore, they have access to a very high launch rate. Second, they also have in mind to develop and launch their own constellations of thousands of satellites that, again, will require a huge number of launches. For these two reasons, in their case, reusability makes sense, both for production reasons and for cost-saving reasons. So this is a solution that they have chosen in order to provide the prices the market expect. With Ariane 6, we have chosen another approach because we are in another context. For instance, we do not intend to launch our own constellation that would compete with our customers. So this is not our approach. So we have chosen a different approach, but we will be competitive also on this market. And for the future, I'll let Marc explain.
Yes, it's really the market is leading. So if the market requests later on some launch rates, which are not the case today, we will be ready. We are working. We have some R&D's activities in order to prepare ourselves with the reusability. It can be introduced partially or more completely. There are several solutions which are today under preparation. And one is well known, I think, because we have disclosed it, even if we don't disclose anything on the subject. Maybe you have heard about the Prometheus engine, LOX methane engine, which is now not anymore just an internal program or a program shared with a French agency, but it becomes a European program. And we are also working with our extended enterprise, with our partners on several solutions in order to be ready. So once again, Jacques says it, if the market asks for it, then we will use this model. Today, we don't see the benefit.
Thank you.
Hi, Benjamin from TU Delft here. I have also a question regarding that. Do you plan to adapt the Ariane 6 concept by any case to cargo or human transportation, or it will be still only satellite transportation?
Can go.
Well, up to now, let's say, the human transportation is, I would say, either for tourism or for space agencies' activities. And up to now, the human transportation by means of Ariane 6 is not one of the European Space Agency goals. So this has not been taken or defined as a requirement for the development of this launch vehicle.
Whatever, the performance and the reliability are the key for human-rated launchers. So today we have a level of reliability which can be compliant. But it's not, once again, it's not the business model. Europe is not investing today in access to space for human beings. But your question was also about cargo. For cargo, yes. So for cargo, we have a huge capability with Ariane 6. Ariane 6 has much more than 20 tons capability in low orbit. So it's currently, it will be in 2020 one of the very heavy-duty launcher that will be on the market for cargo.
And for cargo, we may remind that Ariane 5 has been servicing the International Space Station by means of the ATV, the automated transfer vehicle that was built by Airbus.
Thank you. So don't forget that you can see nice things at the Ariane Group booth, which is just there.
So thank you. And for any contracts you would like to sign with me, I'm ready, available just here. Thank you.